these action education centers were really an outgrowth of earlier activities. For example, in the spring of '66, we had the school boycott, and here again was a case of where the Urban League played a big part sub rosa in terms of recruiting teachers and whatnot, and staffing the different action education centers. There were, my numbers may be hazy, but there are articles about it where there may have been a couple of thousand kids at least who met at various churches, at the YMCA, whatnot.
And the Freedom Schools.
Freedom Schools, right. Well, out of that, because we discovered, not that it was a really, I don't think we should call it discovery because it was certainly anticipated, but the recognition of how deficient the regular school programs were in terms of black heritage and the contribution of minorities to the development of the country and so on. So that summer, we had a couple things going on simultaneously. But that summer then we had 2-week soul searches before that became a part of the official camp program. But it was co-sponsored by CAMP, the Urban League, Jackson Street Community Council, some other groups, where we had daily sessions with a lot of resource people come in, and we sort of spent the whole day and sort of covered one problem area each day. And there were a couple thousand people who attended those. They were up at Garfield High School. And then out of that we sort of had a series. Again, this was an outgrowth of something the Urban League had started early, the Grassroots Forum. Well, I sort of expropriated the name from a group in Bremerton that when I lived there and met Dick Jones and some other people, we decided to have these monthly forums for all dissidents. So we had communists, socialists, nudists, Unitarians, anybody who didn't have much voice in Bremerton's daily life would have these forums once a month. And this is what got this teacher, Dick Jones, into trouble, is because we had a panel set up entitled, "Can Bremerton Survive Peace?" We invited the Navy to have a delegate. They turned us down. We invited the Chamber of Commerce to have a delegate. They turned us down, so Dick Jones appeared singly, and as we were prepared for in those days, because this is something I guess you still have to be alert to who's there. But we always had spies coming to these meetings. And so this guy took down what Dick Jones said, combined it with some stuff that was gathered from the classes that he taught at East Bremerton High School, and the school district fired him. And he got, even though he got great support from most of his students, again, returning to a familiar name, Barbara Lahners, she said, "I was in his class. I didn't know what his politics were. I just knew he sponsored good discussions." Well, I guess the thing that brought everything to a head was when, on May Day of 1960, when a U-2 bomber flew over Russia, and the students had a discussion about that. I mean, May Day, International Workers' Day, what an insult to assault their airspace at this time. So a group of students collected some money, a group of students from his class collected some money, and on their own went and sent a telegram to Dwight Eisenhower telling him he should apologize. And so Dick Jones was removed from his classroom the next day. But anyway, getting back to the Grassroots. Right. So the Grassroots Forum sort of faded from existence in Bremerton because, again, a bunch of us had sort of, I came back to graduate school, Dick Jones was fired, and somebody came to teach at Central Seattle Community College and anything. So anyway, I proposed these forums co-sponsored by the Urban League and the Jackson Street Community Council. At that time, they didn't have many public discussions at all of serious issues. So we had this forum on why women hide out in the home, what was called, the issue of women's rights. We had one on would you let your daughter marry one, by 6 daughters who did. And these were pretty well attended. They were later co-sponsored by the Douglas Truth Library. That's where we started holding them for a year or two. This one librarian was there. And then, anyway, following this summer soul search, this 2-week event, we had a series sort of covering the same topics on our, I think maybe we held the Grassroots Forum more often than just once a month during that period. But it was part of an expanding public education and awareness thing. So when Walt decided to refocus the education department of camp, especially since it lost its anti-poverty money and he got this Department of Labor money, he asked me to come and be director because I'd been involved in the Grassroots Forum and the Freedom Schools and the summer seminars. And
that's where the Action Education Center
came
from.
That's what we had. We met with staff, intense brain-picking, brainstorming for nearly a month before we opened our first program. But so the name Action Education Center and the 3-pronged approach, and the soul search is sort of the nickname for the thing in terms of examining our souls as individuals raised in a prejudicial society, and our soul as a nation in terms of one where racism had been an intricate part of society for close to 400 years. So that was the beginning of the thing.